Want to kick it?
Yeah.
Today we are here to celebrate our West Virginia Folklife Apprenticeship pairs. So I'm so excited you're all here. This is a wonderful turnout, and a huge thank you to Arthurdale Heritage for hosting us today. This is our second of two big showcases we've hosted this fall. Last week we had a wonderful event at the West Virginia Humanities Council headquarters in Charleston, where we featured the other 5 pairs of our program. We had 10 pairs this year doing incredible work together. I've never been so proud of this program. I would love to introduce you to all of our pairs, and then we will have a Q&A with the artists right before the dance. So I'm gonna hand it over now to Ginny and Mary.
Down in old Jordan's rolling stream, the Baptist led the Holy Lamb. The Baptist led the Holy Lamb, and there did him baptize. Believing
I grew up in the Primitive Baptist Church, and Mary wanted to learn that style of singing that came to this country from Scotland.
The cool thing about this tradition is that we only have the lyrics. So each congregation has its own melody, and Ginny has several of those melodies that are very unique to, the way she grew up in the church. And so that was a huge part for me, is to learn those specific melodies.
The time's been sweet, I've spent with you, my sweet.
Well, I've been teaching singing of some kind for 30 years at least. Of all the students I've had, Mary's the best student I ever had. In any way, it's like she hears nuances and movement in things that other people glide over, so that it's not a problem for Mary to sing something without having to feel a beat.
I've known Ginny for several years, but I feel like this apprenticeship really brought us closer, and it gave us more time to hang out together. We would get together and sing and listen to recordings of Primitive Baptist hymn singing. We also took a couple excursions to Primitive Baptist churches. Those were adventures. There are only a handful really around, and just learning this tradition and having these melodies is really important to me because it's so unique to certain places and certain people, and those stories behind those melodies and lyrics are, I think, they matter a lot. Part of it also is learning these songs that are so comforting in a lot of ways. I know they brought you a lot of comfort. Mm-hmm. They bring me a lot of comfort, even if you don't agree word for word what they mean. But the act of singing them is so powerful, and all you really need is just your own voice.
Sing grace, how sweet.
It is sort of like a prayer. Growing up, I asked Daddy what prayer was. What does it mean to pray? And he said, it's the sincerest desires of the heart. The sincerest desires of the heart. That's what the singing of this music is about.
Well, my name is Margaret Booning. I am from Elkins, West Virginia. I'm a weaver/maker.
My name's Nevada Tribble, and I'm the apprentice. The main focus of the apprenticeship was on weaving, but we also kind of ended up diving into some different wool preparation methods and the steps before you get to weaving. So how to basically start with raw wool and wash it and card it and spin it and turn it into yarn.
Weaving and fiber arts and working with wool are part and parcel to the West Virginia and Appalachian experience. So we have a rich history in these things, and for me it was very special to help Nevada build her and expand her artist toolkit and involve more of these traditions.
It was really world-opening for me. When I started this, I just had the most simplistic impression of what weaving was. And I was like, cool, I want to learn to weave and I'm going to do it in a year. But after doing it, I feel like I've just scratched the surface of a whole bunch of the different kinds of options there are. It's really opened up access for me to a whole deeper world of knowledge that I can continue to explore.
It's something that I learned from my mom. My mom wanted to knit a sweater, so she bought a flock of sheep. And no joke, we even made T-shirts that said that. And my mom always said, it's about the full process. Because we said, don't you have enough wool? Maybe take a break from the sheep, get rid of them for a while. No. It's part of the full process. From raising the animals, blood, sweat, and tears, to figuring it out and turning it into something beautiful or functional or both. And then to be able to share that, turn around and share that, and know I'm part of this big family of folk life tradition is really very special.
My role in this apprenticeship was, I would say, mostly fiddle. We did some banjo.
His style of fiddling was very unique to me. I wanted to learn it, so that's how we started this apprenticeship. My name is Bodie Gibbons-Glenn. This is Ben, and I'm his apprentice, and I've learned a lot from this apprenticeship, and he's a really good fiddler, and I'm starting to learn how to get better at old-time traditional music.
My name's Ben Townsend. I'm from Hampshire County in the eastern part of West Virginia, and we nearly border the Maryland line. And so I ran a jam for a good bit of time in Frostburg. And so I met Bodie, who is from Cumberland area in Maryland. And so I'm thankful for that this scholarship, that this grant program allowed us to work across the border. We talked a lot about traditional music and heritage and the things that luckily were handed down to me by the people that came before through this same program. So I had the opportunity to learn from Dave Bing and John Herod, who were big mentors for me, but also from a lot of fiddlers who have passed on since. And so that gave me a strong sense of the value of traditional fiddle that we don't have as much across the Allegheny front, into the Potomac and Shenandoah valleys. And I think that's one of the things that you recognize in the way that I play. I'm not very inspired by popular music or bluegrass. I'm more interested in kind of what I consider unrecorded or pre-recorded music, people's music handed down generationally. And it's been a real honor for me to find someone to be able to start to share that with. And Bodie's a quick study.
You might have noticed there's this part that we did in the B part that's different from the A part. Yeah. It goes like this. Y'all might have noticed that. So A, B, C goes like this.
There are a lot of bowings that I've picked up over the mountain that don't really happen where we are. And so I think it will give him an edge on the rhythm going forward, more paints in the palette rhythmically for when you want to take a solo or challenge the melody. I think you're more prepared to do that now.
Yeah.
Would you say you feel that way?
Yeah, I feel that way. And so that's how we play it.
And what did you do at the end there?
I did a tag, which went like this.
Well, I can fix it up for you if it needs anything.
My name's Katie McCoy. I'm from the Morgantown, Fairmont area. I was one of the apprentice pairs. I did fiddle repair with Richard Eddy. I have been playing old-time fiddle for a really long time. Richard Eddy was my sort of main fiddle teacher a long time ago. I definitely had a close relationship with him, and his daughter was like, she told me, you were like his West Virginia daughters, you and your sister. But it wasn't until last year when I'd sort of asked him about the fiddle repair stuff, because I'd known he'd done a lot of fiddle repair. Always just thought that was so cool that he could do that. So last year I asked him if he would teach me, and he was like, yep, I'll teach you. Come by this week. I'll teach you right now. Another friend had pointed us towards the Folklife program, and that was a really nice fit since we were sort of wanted to do the apprenticeship anyways. Unfortunately, he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer about 2 years before we'd even started with the program. So it was amazing that he was still alive and felt as good as he did. Even like every week was another miracle that he continued to be alive and feeling okay. So honestly, I just feel really honored and lucky to have had time to do the Folklife Apprenticeship with him, because he was certainly on borrowed time, unfortunately, for the whole time. I wish that he could have been here, because he would have been really excited and proud. And I feel really, really honored to be able to carry forward the legacy, but it is kind of a lot of weight too. Like, he had a lot of different things that he was doing, both to kind of build up the old time community in the area and, to repair fiddles. But definitely I feel like, doing what I can to carry forward the pieces that I can is pretty special.
Richard was capable of anything. It sounds like a cliche, but for Richard, it was true. He was so talented, and he was fueled by a positive attitude and the belief that he could learn. And he was right. He built his own house, learning how to do carpentry, plumbing, and electricity. He taught himself how to blow glass and make neon signs. He was a pilot, and he was a magician, and he grew the most efficient homesteading garden I've ever seen. Richard's impact on the world extended far beyond old time. He is a legend that will not be soon forgotten. The way that I got to know Richard was through old time music. Richard was such a gifted teacher, and he enjoyed teaching so much. As he gained more students, he added quite a few new young fiddlers to the Morgantown area. Richard jammed for thousands of hours with us, with his daughters, at the Percival Jam, at festivals, contests, dances, and most of all, with his beloved friend, Pat. There are so many people whose lives have been touched by Richard's music. Richard often brought his latest project fiddle to the weekly Percival Hall Jam. A year and a half ago, Richard was showing everyone his latest fiddle. He always told us these incredible stories about the fiddles, like how he got it from $10 from a flea market and took it home, took the neck out, patched a crack, did this and that, and engineered some kind of ingenious fix for this latest old broken fiddle. The fiddle would sing, so happy to be rescued from the garbage and turned back into something beautiful. It was like magic, the way he could see the music in something others saw as useless, and then patiently, meticulously, creatively transform it into something beautiful. I had always been fascinated by Richard's craft. When this newest fiddle showed up at the jam, my eyes grew wide, and I told him that that was on my bucket list, wanting to learn how to do that. He smiled and said, well, come on by and learn then. We fixed more than 15 fiddles. We started with fiddle setup, peg shaving and reaming, glue cleanup, bridge cutting, soundpost setting, and we quickly moved on to crack repairs, neck resets, fingerboard replacement, and varnishing. I learned how to make custom clamps and tools, and my creativity and innovation grew. We fixed broken head blocks, reinforced cracked ribs, and bent new ones. We recreated missing pieces, added pins. No fiddle was too broken for us, not even the fiddle that got run over by a truck. No, really. We fixed one that was actually run over by a truck. It was in 100 pieces, And I actually called it the mulch fiddle because it looked like mulch. It did not look like an instrument. But we carefully glued all the puzzle pieces back together, bent new ribs, and re-purfled the new pieces on the top. Richard passed away before we could finish it, but I finished it up for this event to honor the countless hours he put into it and to honor his legacy. To me, Richard was a living example of how you can do anything if you have the patience to learn and the courage to believe in yourself. And today I'm going to play a tune on this fiddle, which used to be in 100 pieces. This waltz was one of Richard's favorites. He taught it to lots of us at the Percival Hall Jam, and we still play it there every week because it reminds us of him. I hope you enjoy. This is called Halfway Pond.
One big difference between our apprenticeship and the others is it is really hard to practice a very public thing on your own. Some ways that I've practiced are like putting on a recording of a band that I really like and kind of calling and imagining. I also cut out some little pieces of paper and like tried to move them around to imagine like who was there with mixed results. And I didn't make it cranky yet. And then I think the best thing was to organize small square dances with friends. That was really fun and kind of a low pressure way to try things that I'd never tried before.
One of the things I wanted to share with Anik was all these old tapes I made from many, many years ago. And for years I've made tapes at Glenville and Vandalia and Augusta. And so I just passed on all these old tapes to Anik to learn, and we would sit down and listen to these tapes. Some of them were videos, some were cassettes. But I think the exciting thing for me was to share some of these old-time calls that I learned over the years. And what was beautiful about Anik was she already had a sense of calling some dances already, and she's taken it to a different level.
If you would like to dance again, find yourself a partner or stick with your partner you have and get into a square again. And when you meet your partner the first time, promenade, just one time, and you're going to promenade. Yeah, so it's different than Taylor's. When you get home, you're going to square yourself. The couples 2 and 4, you're going to walk towards each other and make an arch with the person across left and the I think the hardest thing about learning to call dances is that even if you've done all that practice, the first time you really kind of get to do it is in public. And another thing that was kind of very different from learning fiddle or something else is that
You know, I'm learning from Taylor, but to an extent, like the dances that he calls, I have learned some of his repertoire, but a lot of it, I've watched a lot, but I haven't necessarily learned those same dances, although I would like to, but just because we've been calling so much together, I've ended up calling different dances because I know, oh, these are the dances Taylor loves to call, you know?
What else was very exciting was we've organized some local dances where we invited some other young people that wanted to learn to call dances beyond what we were doing together. In the last Morgantown dance, we had about, 5 or 6 callers that got up and called a dance. So it was just real exciting to be a part of this apprenticeship and pass that on. Promenade anywhere.